Hey Precisioners, welcome to the next installment of Precision Disc Golf. Today we're looking at Bryant Lake Park in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Currently ranked the third best course in Minnesota by DG Course Review. It's a fun course. It is pay to play. It's part of the Three Rivers Park, so if you're in the area, it goes all into Woodland Pass with Highland Hills, Elm Creek, and of course Bryant Lake Park. Okay, so hole 1, 396, it probably plays 380 or so, just slightly less than that. It's a little bit downhill. The play is normally a wide open hyzer shot. So I'm throwing a destroyer. I throw it as far nose up as you can, so I get a lot of hang time, but it turns out hang time doesn't equal distance. Not a good start to the round. So I didn't throw any warm-ups, as you can tell in these first couple throws. That wasn't a very good run for a putt. But it's a really pretty an easy 3. The only danger on that hole is just throwing a wide hyzer down that hill to the left. Hole 2, I believe, will be different as of 2017 because they're making a new tee pad, but in this position, 300 feet does play slightly uphill, sort of a tunnel shot, or there's just a spike hyzer. So here I'm trying to throw the tunnel shot. I'm just throwing a leopard. It doesn't pan out enough. I actually missed my second throw. That is not where my disc landed. I landed deep left and then made a horrible putt. I don't know what happened to the video for it, but in any event, that was a 3, not a 2. But again, that's a very birdieable hole if you can throw 330 feet or so on a turnover. Hole 3, 238. This one's a little deceiving. I think it plays farther than that, but there's a gap if you want to throw a flex shot or a forehand straight down, but most backhanders choose to go that route. I got clipped up by a tree. I was standing right in front of, and that's the only danger of the hyzer route, is there's a few guardian trees there, but otherwise it's a really standard shot. Hole 4, 251. Again, it plays maybe 260, just slightly uphill, but it's a pretty tight little shot. It's an easy layup, but it's a tough pace run. So I'm throwing a PA1 there, and it clips a branch or something, and then I get way down past this guardian rail and have to pitch out up there. So that's not a great result. Normally, I would say you should do that most of the time, but things happen. Hole 5, the sign is definitely incorrect. I think it might be 347, and it's far enough downhill where this is a mid-range shot for a lot of people. So again, this is definitely 347. Turnover shot or a forehand works great. There's a really strong right to left going on, so I'm throwing an M3 instead of an M4 in the hopes that I didn't want it to turn over too much and bury into the ground. I didn't have to worry about that because it went dead straight the entire time and never broke right at all. But not the worst hole in the world to take a 3 on again, but it's a nice deuce to pick up. Okay, hole 6, 223 uphill. It's a tricky right-hand backhand shot for a turnover. It's a great lefty shot. There is a hyzer route for a right-hand backhander. It's tighter than it looks, but I'm going easy mode here and just throwing thumber. There's a lot of holes on this course today where, because I missed a lot of birdies, I decided to go what I call easy mode and just throw thumbers. I feel pretty accurate with them for the most part, and it's easy for me to get them in the fairway where I need them to. And obviously on that hole, I feel like I put it within 15 feet probably 80% of the time with the thumb. Hole 7 here, it's all the way at the top of those tiers, so it plays pretty far. There I clip that branch, and it slows me down and redirects me, so not a very favorable throw. This is a really difficult deuce. I've never had like a tap-in deuce by just parking it up there. So obviously you can do it, but it requires at least a 450 plus arm to park it on the 3rd tier, so it's a pretty good throw. But again, not a hard 3 as long as you just put yourself in the fairway off the tee shot. Hole 8, 474. Yep. This is one of the hardest holes, probably the hardest hole in the course. Great hole. It's a turnover shot where you've got it's not narrow, but it's not super generous for a fairway. So I'm trying to be heroic here and throw a D1 air, but as you can see, my balance isn't great. I actually get lucky after hitting some trees going in the fairway, and so my upshot, oh, lo and behold, I'm nicking branches the whole way and somehow don't get caught up. So this is a 3 I did not deserve here. Yeah, I barely squeak in the putt too. But that's a good 3 no matter what. Again, it's not hard. If you want to just lay up and go fairway putt, there's definitely a safe 3 there, but it is very tempting to want to just get closer to the basket. And some of the big arms in the state can definitely deuce that. Hole 9, again, it plays a little farther than it looks. It's just uphill, dead straight the entire way. I'm throwing a leopard here, just trying to flex it. Gets caught up on the trees on the right and kicks back. The main thing on this hole is just don't go left or right. If you're in the fairway, it's like, at least, like I had there, a good run for 3. Hole 10, 293, this one plays 100 feet shorter than that. It's pretty significantly downhill and to the left, so it's a pretty good shot for a zone or a gator or a drone or something just with a ton of stability. For me, it's just a no-brainer to throw a thumber at it. It lands almost on the chips like that every time, and I feel like there's not a lot of effort to it, so I think that's the easy way. But if you are a right-hand backhander, just throwing a spike hyzer works too. It's just the wind can be a factor. Hole 11, one of the easiest holes on the course. It says 270. It probably plays 240 or something. It's very short. Just straight downhill. Here I'm throwing a brand new PA1. It doesn't have a lot of glide, so I don't quite get all of it on it that I want. But again, as long as you just throw straight downhill, you're in a good position. I mean, even that was not a great throw, and I left myself a 20-footer. So. Hole 12, 324, slightly uphill, so add a little distance to that. There's, in particular, one guardian tree in the center. Otherwise, it's just sort of a little flex shot for a right-hand backhander. Here I'm throwing a brand new Leopard 3. I'm trying to decide if it's going to make it in the bag. And it works out pretty perfectly for this shot, so I think, although I might have lost it. But anyway, I think it did earn a spot in the bag thanks to that throw, actually. That's a really nice bonus deuce to pick up. Again, it's not super hard, but I wouldn't say it's something that I would consider a birdie or die in competitive play. 13, 167, plays downhill, so plays even shorter. Perfect if you've got a little forehand dump shot with a stable disc or a lefty. I'm throwing a PA1 here, maybe a PA4. And so I give it actually a pretty good run there, but as you can see, you end up super deep if you give it a pretty good run. And thankfully I'm able to convert a pretty long putt there. That easily could have been a 3, because every time I ace run it, I run that risk. Hole 14, 345, this is just like, again, this is a great T-bird, destroyer, mid, I guess, if you've got a cannon, but just throw something semi-stable, dead straight, let it fade a little left at the end, try and throw something about 360 feet and you're in good shape. So, there, actually, I was throwing a destroyer because there was a pretty good headwind, and I just wanted to make sure it didn't flip on me. Worked out pretty well. I hit the sign behind it. Hole 15, here again, I'm going to go thumber. It's just easier, but otherwise you can just throw anything dead straight up that gap. But with the uphill, it's not super tight, but there's definitely stuff to hit, so I just try and circumvent all the obstacles. End up a little deep, and then I get the old hit the chain and pull, spit out putt. Hole 16, 250, pretty severely downhill. Now this is another one I thumber just because it takes all, I guess, of the difficulty out of the hole. So I apologize, I didn't do more backhands. I just had a rough start to the round. But if you look down sort of the gravel path there, you can throw just something that it has to be super low and super straight and then fade out at the end. So it's definitely a nice shot there. Great putter shot. Maybe a mid if you throw a rock dead straight or something like that, but not a hard deuce. Hole 17, 536, again, very severely downhill. One of the most memorable holes on the course. I've got a lot of right to left here, and so I'm throwing a destroyer. As you can see, it really panned out perfectly. I've never had a shot that sat where this did, right on that first tier. Usually if it hits that, it rolls away. But if you watch my putt, I was super nervous that I was going to miss this. And you can see the wind take the putter and almost just put it up a little high. So I'm glad that went in. That was I think that might actually be my first deuce on it, or maybe second. But either way, that's super rare. I've played this course hundreds of times, and it's just with that distance, it's getting where you can have a great putt is tough, because you can't go too far right or left. Hole 18 plays really far uphill. Again, I just try and throw something dead center fairway. I don't try to rip a huge drive. I have deuced it, but I never get closer than like 50 feet. I don't know why I didn't jump putt there. I almost earned myself a 4 somehow with just a god-awful upshot, but that worked out all right. So there's your quick tour of Bryant. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next round.